Hello everybody. We have a game with the black pieces against Noah Vale, rated 920. We just broke 900 ourselves. He starts off with the London opening. We develop a piece towards the center, and then we immediately attack his strong center, the point that he wants to reinforce, with the C pawn, a flank pawn for the center pawn. He defends it with the knight, but this is not good. You're supposed to defend it with a pawn so that when I take, you can recapture with a pawn, maintaining your stronghold. Here, I take with the pawn, and now you have to take with a piece. You lose the stronghold in the center. We had this exact position in, I think, our last d4 game. I don't know, 7-ish speed runs ago, episodes. And then here, we immediately are winning automatically on move 4, which kind of seems crazy. It may not look like it, but there's some tactical stuff going on. Now, the move you want to make here when you see this is, of course, e5. But a lot of you are like, oh man, he's just going to take. You can't do it. Now, e5 positionally is bad because of the holes it makes. But tactically, it would win a piece if you could do it, so you would do it. So I'm going to do it anyway. And you're going to be like, wait, what? He's going to take because he's going to lose a piece if he doesn't. And then we have queen a5 check, picking up the piece. So he loses a piece no matter what due to tactics. And this is how you beat the London in 5 moves. If your opponent has no idea about principles, the principle is center. If he knew center, he would want to establish pawn presence in the center. So now I take the piece, I'm up a bishop. That's good for me. And now I can establish a pawn presence in the center. I could develop my minor pieces. So he solidifies, develops a piece. We don't want to get caught out, so we want to make sure we're developed. So let's just bring out a piece. Attack the center, attack the knight, potentially trade since we're up a bishop. So now white goes here, and this is a very noobish thing to do. Whenever you want to attack one of your opponent's pieces, whenever you're thinking about it, like, ooh, I can attack it. If you're going to attack it with a pawn, I want you to to think again, to think twice. Make sure it's what you want to do. At least if you're attacking with the piece, maybe you just wasted time, but you didn't weaken your position too much. But if you attack with a pawn, you weaken your position a lot, so you better hope you're going to get something out of it. So what are you weakening? Well, the drawback is it undefends these 2 squares. So immediately he blunders this with check, and that's just deadly because it hangs the knight. Now, he could retreat the knight, but his position is garbage, so now I'm up. He doesn't retreat the knight. He simply blocks. He's not paying attention to the threats in the position. He also can't castle because he can't castle through check. Very bad. I'm going to take the knight and bring one step closer, also offering more trades. I can bring this knight in. It's just this bishop in. It's terrible for white, all because he recaptured with a piece and not a pawn. And notice how he had pieces hitting the center, but all I had to do was throw a pawn there. e5. That's the reason you want pawns in the centers, because they're the least valuable piece. You can just attack stuff with them, right? And that thing has to move and disappear. So the thing is, you leave the pawns where they are and only only attack the thing at the perfect time once there's something to be gained from that line. So he goes here. This attacks the queen, trying to be clever. The drawback is it hangs the knight for free. I don't know how he's 900. This guy is terrible. He now takes the knight, hangs his queen. I'm up a million things. I'm just going to go back. Then I'm going to go here. And then I'm going to checkmate him because Noah has no idea what he's doing. Uh, there we go. Um, Center. I, I mean, this is development center, and this one is attacking the center um, with a flank pawn. So, like in the Sicilian, when white goes e4 and you go here, the reason you do that is so that when he plays d4, you can take his central pawn with your flank pawn. So here it's the same thing. I want to take his central pawn with my flank pawn. Um, that way I still have two in the middle of the board. So what white's supposed to do is, let's say, play e3 and defend it, so when I take, he can recapture that way. So if you play the London, absolutely make sure that if someone does this, you always take back with the pawn. Also, once this happens, you cannot take because of the tactic. You have to let it be. You always need to look at the diagonals, queen a5. So here it is, and then the game is over at this point effectively because he loses his piece. So that's something to know. I guess we'll just do another quick game. I'll try to make it quick. So let's just go a little faster. We open up with the bishop's opening. Do I really need to repeat what the point is and how the moves work? Or maybe you could watch one of the other 300 episodes where I repeat myself. So he's developing a minor piece towards the center. I'm developing a minor piece towards the center. He develops his bishop to e7, preparing to castle, but e7 is a passive square, so I don't mind seeing it. Fine. I'm just going to play d3, solidifying the center, controlling the center, opening my dark square bishop. He castles. I'm going to use this chance to play f4, get a little aggressive, develop my knight behind the pawn, attack his center. He takes, we take. We now have three minor pieces attacking the center along with a pawn. And this pawn, beautiful. What does he have? Just the knight, right? Good for us. So now we're ready to put our knight behind the bishop. Black goes d6. This just develops his light square bishop, but doesn't threaten anything. We're just going to casually develop our knight. I mean, all we did was put our knights here and our bishop here, right? Like, nothing crazy. A pawn in the center, we defended it. Pawn chain, nothing crazy. Black develops his bishop and pins the knight. He does not have a knight ready to jump in here yet, which is nice. I'm going to put the question to the bishop because this trade is good for me. He takes. We could take with the queen, but after here, he's threatening to jump in here. Then you have to move back. It's not a big deal, but we could also take this way, which supports the center and most importantly gives us a g file. I'm going to do that, castle queenside, and use the g file to checkmate him. So black goes c5, and this is a common mistake strategically because you're creating a backwards pawn over here on the d6 and it creates this hole, and so strategically it's not a good move, but whatever. Okay, so we get to go. If we want to checkmate this guy, I suppose we should get started. Maybe queen lift it up so we can get it in and prepare castling. So this supports central stuff, gets ready for a rook to x-ray the queen, and gets ready to prepare attacks. So it's a developing move with center. This is super slow. There's no bishop to fianchetto, so this makes no sense. This pawn was not under attack. When you opposite side castle, you're supposed to pawn storm. So he's supposed to, let's say, play a6 and b5, kicking my bishop, b4, c4, a5, and storming me. This is does absolutely nothing, doesn't follow his plan, doesn't it makes no sense. There's no point to it. So now we can just start with the casual rook to the open file. We could have castled as well. You could castle next. He develops his knight. Potentially can go here, but not the end of the world. We can just continue developing, or we can create threats. If we go here and he tries to defend, I don't know, one of these weird methods, yeah, maybe we just get some more pieces in first. Let's create a checkmate threat. I kind of like that. Can't go wrong. We're improving the queen, our strongest piece, for free. Why is it free? Because he can't do this or this or this or this or this or this or this. He has to respond. See? So he responds. This weakens the dark squares, gives my bishop a nice home. Ideas of h4, h5 now that we have a hook. So you can see all the ideas come together move by move. What else? Okay, so you could plant this in here. You could castle. I say let's plant it in here. This allows us to play f4, which would then deny his only square for the knight, as well as prepare f5, another possible way to attack the hook. So he moves the rook. Now you could definitely castle, but that would give him this. So maybe we want to take 1 second to deny that so his pieces are just stuck. His knight has no squares. This knight has no squares. This bishop, I guess it's going to go here. So here, here, well, we can't castle, but I guess we'll just go back. Yeah. So we'll go f4 to control the center. This is strictly to deny development of his pieces by controlling the center. Right? Notice how I chose this over castling because of the possibility of knight e5. Now where does the knight go? Right? If anything, maybe here? But not my problem. Now I'm ready to castle and play f5. He moves his queen to the side instead of going bishop f8. That's fine. We have possible stuff like this, but I don't want to do stuff like that or attack the queen. I want to continue with my checkmating plan. Can we delay castling even further and just play f5? That then weakens the square again. And if you take, he can take with that way. So let's start with castling just to be safe, and then we can launch the other pawn up the board. That way we don't relinquish this square to his piece. Now let's say he was to go here because he decides he wants to reroute it, right? The second we see this, then maybe we go f5 because he can't go here immediately. So that's how chess works. Move by move jigsaw puzzle. So now our position looks great. Free moves we would love to have. We would love to have king b1. We would love to have h4, h5. Okay, so now he starts his pawn storm, but by doing it this way, this square is so weak that how's he ever going to really push it to continue his pawn storm? It's going to take forever to support. So now we're just going to continue our plan. I suppose this knight can always go here, which stops our h4, h5 ideas. So maybe we can push here. Yeah, I mean, this, without any calculation, I know this can't be bad. I mean, maybe it's not the best because of like whatever, but it can't be bad. Like, I'm going to let him take this bishop. I mean, you could just move it with tempo. You could even go here with tempo because if he takes, you take the... That looks super strong. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go in here because... I mean, his bishop does look beautiful, but technically it's not... The f7 square is not where we're going to be winning. It's more like on the f6 square, even though it looks like we're not using it. The dark squares are on the king and the g file. So like if he takes this and we take, we can now Not only are we attacking the queen, but we can play f6 if he doesn't go queen back, and then that would create a crazy dark square bind. Also, we could just take the bishop and have an uncontested dark square bishop around his king, which is cool. So he moves his queen. Now we can hit the bishop, but it can go back, and uh, then we can take it. If he takes with the rook, he falls into the royal fork. So here, 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 king takes. But the thing with king takes is queen up threatens checkmate, and he can't really stop it. So I'm going to go for that. Notice in a lot of my games, this f5 pawn is integral in my attacks, either because of taking or whatever. And I don't know how he's going to respond. If he sacks to try to not get mated, he loses the exchange, the piece, whatever. My king is safe. His attack is never going to happen. 1, 2, 3, 4, like 4 moves and nothing even happens. So he just pushes as if he's going to checkmate me down the c file or something. That's insane. So I'm definitely going to ignore him and take this with check, because it's a check, which means he has to respond. It's a free move. Free move. Okay. I'm just going to take the rook, and he's going to take here. And yeah, I can't take, I'm not going to take back. You can move your king, and I don't see a problem. You can also push, and I don't see a problem. So I'm just going to push, because I don't see a problem with it. Then you can move your king over. It also stops the tension, so like c-file pressure doesn't matter because there's no more tension. And yeah, I'm up 4 points of material. I would like to, I don't know, do something like this to checkmate him. So let's arrange one of these. Because I don't really want to play like for the center. I just want to checkmate him, but now he covers it. But he is just hanging stuff because this protects it, so that doesn't make sense. He goes here, which hits the pawn, but I don't care about the pawn. I think now's my opportunity to go here. Oh no, well, that just hangs the queen. What am I, crazy? Go here. Takes, takes. I mean, it really doesn't matter what I do. Oh no, this is genius because his rook is hanging in the corner with checkmate. Because if this protects this, that's funny because you can walk him up the board. But this guy's hanging, which he may not see. You also have like rook tempo stuff, but like I said, you're not really going to win on the f7 square. I mean, you might, but there's just so much stuff. Wow, he sees it. That's awesome. He moved his rook. I wasn't expecting him to see it, to be honest. Okay, so now his queen's hitting this. So let's just, I guess, bring our queen in close. I don't know, just get around his face. If we push now, that's a move. Yeah, we could just push. That looks winning immediately. Yeah, he's in trouble now. He doesn't know what to do. But I mean, pawns like this are just deadly. He brings his queen here, which threatens mate in one. Very nice. If you defend this way, he takes your rook. Very nice. Nicely done, sir. I don't I don't want to get checkmated. Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. So, if we don't want to get mated in one, we can move our king, we could drop our bishop back. If we just move our king, I mean, that's a little bit suspicious. Let's just go here to be safe. Okay, now it's safe and we can just push the pawns. His knight's hanging, the pawns push. If you go here, maybe he gives you this check, you go over, he sacks the rook. If you take, he checks, perpetuals you. I don't want to calculate any of that weird stuff. So he moves his king, but now I just take the knight with check. He goes back, but now I get to queen with check. Forcing rook takes, which forces this. But now I'm going to go back to this check. And then I'm just going to push the pawn. And checkmate is next. He could stop it here, but I could go here.
Electro District, here we come. I hope people don't mistake me for an arcade machine again.
Okay, so he does try to stop it that way. We're just going to block his path. He has no checks other than sacking the queen. And this pawn. Interesting. But you can move your king, you can take the pawn. This is checkmate, this is checkmate. Okay, let's just get the queen, and that's that. Game is over, and let's take a quick look at it. I said it was going to be a quick game, but it's getting there. So center, development, center, development, center, development, center, development, center, development, forced move. Okay. Center, development, and this is about the center. This knight controls these squares. If I give him the opportunity to do this, it's very much disrupting my central control. This bishop, if you can trade it for this knight, that's also very good for you. So center and forcing move. Center, forcing move. This is just a bad move. We develop, center, prepare king safety. We develop and attack his king safety. We improve a piece, but for free. We improve a piece, but for free. Very important to know that we are delaying other moves, but it's because they're free, so you're not delaying them at all. And then, boom, strictly center. I mean, I made it very clear you're denying this development move. King safety, development, and then king safety. We're just attacking his king. It's as simple as that. We have two pieces. We're just opening it up. Again, forcing move. You don't even have to move the bishop, but this is a good thing because if he moves his rook, you get the turn back, right? If he takes, then you have crazy dark square control. Because if he does this, you just f6 it, and then he's dead. So that's that game. Hopefully, you can see center, development, king safety, forcing moves. We look for the tactics when they're there. We attack the king when we can, and we just make like logical moves. So hopefully this helps. Let me know if you'd like to see something. Good luck in your chess.